Welcome to the Eddie-torial. I'm excited to do this. My name is Speir, and I'm running for Congress in Florida's 16th District. I'm running against the incumbent, Vern Buchanan, who's been there for 17, going on 18 years. I think it's time for a change. And so what I'd like to do is introduce myself to the community, to the district, for those people who don't know me. And I'd like to bring in this first section, I'd like to bring in people who do know me, who are aware of the work that I've done within the community for the last 14 plus years, the last 11 years here at Inspiration Academy. So I'm looking forward to having those discussions, doing some interviews, and having some fun with this. From there, we'll plan on going through some of the news of the day, kind of unboxing and unpackaging some of Vern Buchanan's positions, his votes, explain why some of those votes are against our best interest, especially as conservatives, and then get an idea of how I would respond in whatever the future situation would happen to be in Congress and the future predicaments that our country will inevitably be in. So looking forward to that. So why don't we just jump right into it, and we're going to be talking about Ukraine. There's been a lot of discussion about Ukraine in the news, especially now as we're looking at a shutdown of the government as we're trying to approve a budget. So President Volodymyr Zelensky has now requested that Marina Abramovich, of all people, would be the ambassador to Ukraine, which is, I don't think people understand the magnitude of how evil that, I'm just going to call it evil, it's just evil. And on top of that, Zelensky with Trudeau in Canada just honored a Nazi. I'm not saying, hey, like a lot of people talk about Nazis, this person's a Nazi, that person, it's this invective that's being thrown around. No, I'm talking about an actual Nazi in the SS Waffen that served in Ukraine. They just honored him. So we're going to go through some of those things, then we're going to examine Vern Buchanan's record with Ukraine. So first thing I want to talk about is Zelensky himself. He's been an actor, and not even a good actor, and a comedian, and that's how he's risen to power there in Ukraine. Ukraine being one of the most corrupt countries that we do business with and that we've partnered with in Eastern Europe. So it's not a good situation to begin with, and to think that we're sending over $100 billion to Ukraine instead of to the very needed resources that are needed in Maui, for example. The people who have just been burned out of their homes in Maui, they need the resources certainly much more than the people in Ukraine. So let's jump into Marina Abramovich. She is a known Satanist, and she has been doing things called spirit cooking for a long time. She tries to pass this off as being an artist, but it's certainly not art, and she's been involved with quite a few, with Jay-Z, with quite a few artists, Lady Gaga, and they look up to her. She's basically a priestess for a lot of these people, and a priestess of the most evil occultic kind. So as we learn about Marina Abramovich and her cult rituals that include all kinds of bodily fluids and things that I'm just not even comfortable sharing. And then she's, and I think we have the picture here that I'd like to share with you of her with Jacob Rothschild, who is a left-wing billionaire, in front of a picture called Satan Summoning His Legions. So these aren't accidents that she is positioning herself in situations like this, pictures like this, and with people like this. Also, she was with the WikiLeaks and John Podesta and Tony Podesta, so linked to pedophile rings, what looks to be pedophile rings. And I would stand behind that if anybody wanted to delve into the details of those WikiLeaks articles, and they've been hashed out through a bunch of different shows, including Out of the Shadows, which is a good documentary that I just saw with General Michael Flynn here not too long ago. So Marina Abramovich is now, and not just an ambassador to Ukraine. Please understand this. They're asking her to be in charge of children and schools. Let me see, where is this? Asking her to help the children affected by rebuilding schools and such. That's the quote. Are you kidding me? Somebody that evil connected to that much dark, cultish, satanic work. Now let's put that person in charge of children. It's stranger than fiction. It doesn't make any sense. So on top of that, then we have an actual Nazi who was just honored. This was 2 days ago in Canada. And Zelensky is honoring this literal Nazi of the SS Waffen. He's 98 years old. And I don't think this is a mistake. If it is a mistake, it's way too ironic. This isn't good. So now let's take a look at Vern's voting record on this, because it's one thing just to say, hey, this isn't good. Zelensky is not a good character. Marina Abramovich is not a good character. Okay, that's all well and good. But now we're asking taxpayers to spend over $100 billion to fund this operation there in Ukraine, which makes no sense. And I don't think anybody believes the news that's coming out with regards to the progress that's being made in this war. This is a war that we do not belong in, and we shouldn't be in. And I guarantee you, if President Trump was still there, or any Republican was there, we would have negotiated our way out of this, and we wouldn't be spending hundreds of billions of dollars of hard-earned American dollars on this evil. I'm just going to call it evil. This isn't right. We don't need to be moving closer and closer to World War III in Ukraine. So Vern Buchanan has earned an A grade from, this is the GOP Congressional Report Card. And if you look into the details of this, you can see that there hasn't been any kind of funding of Ukraine that he has not approved. He's got a perfect record when it comes to spending your money and my money in Ukraine. And now, how does he spend our money? And how does it hurt us? It hurts us through inflation. When we print money that we don't have, send it over to Ukraine, borrow it from the Chinese, send it to Ukraine, we're stuck with a dollar that's worth a whole lot less than it used to be. And that's the situation that we find ourselves in now. Everybody here in the 16th district is hurt by this, because when you go to the grocery store, when you go to buy anything, when you pay rent, or when you try to buy a house, everything is inflated, and we're paying this through inflation. This isn't good, and this shouldn't be happening, and I assure you that I would be shutting this down. And one of the most egregious things, I don't mean this to be just a complete gripe session, but it just ends up being this way as we talk about the things that are happening in Washington, D.C. It just simply is. Now we're looking at shutting down the American government, and now what we're ending up doing, we Americans have decided that we're going to carve out all this money for Ukraine and say, even if the government shuts down and we don't come up with a budget, we'll still make sure to send our money over to Ukraine so that Ukraine is getting our money. Even when federal workers and the government shuts down here, people don't know where their next paycheck is going to be coming from. Don't worry about that, though. We're going to be sending this money off to Ukraine. That will not stop. I wish that was fiction. I wish that was fake news. I wish that was a joke. It's not a joke. This is what the Defense Authorization Act has carved out to ensure that Ukrainians are getting their money when Americans are paying for it and not receiving their money. So again, this makes a perfect case for an America First candidate and the need for an America First candidate. And the juxtaposition against Vern Buchanan, who has not been America first. So, looking forward to doing these on a weekly basis, and we will be taking your request for things that you want to hear about. I want to turn this into very much like a town hall, and we'll be eventually sending this out live. And you can follow me on Twitter, which is X now. I'm going to get used to saying X. Facebook, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and we'll have YouTube and let's see, Truth Social, and also Rumble. So we'll be hitting all those platforms. We're already on all those platforms. I don't think we have the links to all of them, but we'll get those up for the next show, and I look forward to the next show. And so what I end every devotion that we do here at the school with, and I'd like to end this Eddie-torial, I hope you guys like that name, with is go win and Godspeed.